Hello there, Lee Cole. And Gloria, you're on. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
This is really exciting, Gloria, because we are going to teach people a really slick sales process in this autoclose webinar. And then, just like you said while we were kind of chit-chatting before we got going, if you can't do this, it's kind of like in baseball, you can only get to third base. Big deal, I mean, that's kind of cool, standing on third base, but big deal. But if you can't bring it home, you don't get to score a run. And if you can't close the sale, you don't get any money.
Right, right. And just to mention something, and this just appeared in our private coaching Facebook group, this stuff works. There's no question that this stuff works. Mike, one of our coaching students, has had to hire 8 salespeople. He's getting, right now, I think he said something like 80% of his leads or something like that from LinkedIn. And I think most of his leads, he said, is going to be coming from LinkedIn, working on monetizing this through these salespeople and stuff to a 6-figure a month LinkedIn lead business, basically, from business that he's getting from as a result of LinkedIn.
Yeah, that guy's basically building a massive business rapidly, and I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Mike because he's an amazing person, but the nuts and bolts of the sales process are exactly what we're teaching.
That's right, and the reason why he's been able to do so well, and basically he's got the sales process down so good, he's been able to duplicate it 8 times. He's had to hire a sales manager and like 8 salespeople, sales reps, because he's got this process down so well.
Right.
So this is critical stuff.
This is very critical stuff. Cool beans. So, oh, that's slick, Gloria. There's no way I could ever do that.
I don't know how it happened. I was
just the magic of the magic of hiring other people. Psychology behind LinkedIn messaging. So let's talk. Well, I tell you what. Let's read through these, and guys, we're going to do a lot of talking, a lot of exploring. We are going to leave you with a cut and dried method. Okay, a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I've already got my notepad open because we know how I like to say 1, do this, 2, do that. Okay, so at the end, we're going to leave you with that. There's a lot of stuff to explore here, some nuances, but have no fear. If you understand that, great. If you don't quite get that, that's cool. Just do what we tell you to by the time we finish. Psychology behind LinkedIn messaging, why most people have it wrong, anatomy of a message, sales process from the initial message, controlling the sale. Ooh, I love that one. Overcoming objections and role-playing. So this is basically what we're doing on this whole thing. Psychology behind LinkedIn messaging. Gloria, so do you have a slide for each of these?
Yeah, I sure do.
God knows. You're just so much more advanced than I am.
There we go.
People don't want to be sold on LinkedIn. You know, folks, people don't want to be sold anyway.
That's true.
Who here has done stuff like when you went to buy a car, you went after the car lot was closed? Just so you could look? I mean, people do that all the time, right? Just drive by, park, wander in the lot, because you don't want to deal with a pesky salesperson.
Because if you've ever driven up to a car lot looking for a car, you have everybody, all the salespeople kind of hovering, in the front, just kind of waiting to jump on you.
Well, they have to.
Yeah, it is. It's a very aggressive sales environment. And if you think about LinkedIn, okay, what's everybody doing on LinkedIn? LinkedIn, the people that are on LinkedIn are there to either further their business, they want to make deals, further their network. However, they don't want to be sold, right? They want to sell you and tell you how great they are, but they don't want to be sold to.
Right.
Right.
That, I mean, there's, I mean, it's almost a double standard.
It is.
they want to, like, like you said, somebody's a mortgage broker, sure, they would love for you to get your next home loan through them,
Hmm.
but they really don't want you to sell anything to them. That's a control issue, frankly. It's
Hmm.
and the reason people don't like to be sold to is because they're so scared they're going to lose control.
Exactly.
Because deep down, they don't trust themselves. And this is true for virtually everybody on the planet. Virtually,
Hmm.
not all, virtually. They don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves not to do something stupid. They are feel susceptible to psychological pressure,
Hmm.
and so it's they feel that the salesperson has the upper hand. So they're going to protect
Exactly.
themselves by putting that wall. One of my favorite sales trainers, Jerry Vass and Iris Heron, those are two separate people. They used to, this is like back in the late 80s, okay, when I
Hmm.
was like 4 years old. But they used to have this wonderful illustration, excuse me, of a person with a suit of armor on, except the suit of armor was only in the front. If you could go around behind them, they were sitting there in their underwear, right? They were vulnerable, but the suit of
Right.
armor was only in the front. See, that is, excuse me, folks. But anyway, that is really a great way to think about other people when you want to sell them something, because they have their defenses up. On LinkedIn, I mean, it's true in person, it's true on LinkedIn, it's true in direct mail. You don't really feel it in direct mail because you're not sitting in front of the person,
Hmm.
but you definitely feel it on LinkedIn. I mean, you can feel when, well, usually you don't know when you push somebody away because they just go away. But every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, somebody will let you know that you were being too aggressive, too in your face, to whatever. And basically what happened was you were running at them and you ran right into their little half of a suit of armor.
Right, right. Because if you think about it, how many of you guys who are active on LinkedIn have either made a connection with somebody and the first thing that person does is basically pitch you? They don't take the time to really get to know you or develop a networking relationship,
Right.
which is what LinkedIn's all about. And if you think about, well, it's a big turnoff for me. I'm like, there's no way I'd be interested in this now because they didn't get take the time to really even try to find out what it is that I need. And
Right.
that's the psychology of LinkedIn, really. So what we have to do is we have to turn that around. And
Exactly.
what we've advocated and our system is exactly how to turn it around so that you can turn these initial connections into warm leads, which in turn generate sales, and we know it works because people are doing it all the time.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because that's really interesting. Let's go with the suit of armor concept.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you flank them? How do you come from behind? How do you get around that suit of armor? Because it's pointed in one direction only. Okay, it is there to deflect things like sales vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
It's there to deflect things like let me pitch you on something.
That's right.
And so like in the slides here, when we say how do you turn that around, you say by finding out their needs. So folks, let's open this up to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
How would you find out what someone's needs are? Forget a sales environment. Suppose you saw somebody, I don't know, stuck on the side of the road. Yeah, Steve's got it. Suppose you saw somebody stuck on the side of the road and like an elderly woman or something. And you have to be careful because you can scare people nowadays doing this. But,
Mm-hmm.
you just pull over and what, you roll down your window so you seem not threatening. What would you do? You would say, well, can I help you? Right? You ask.
Mm-hmm.
So How do you get around that suit of armor is you start asking the other person questions.
Exactly.
You
That's
don't
right.
tell them stuff. See, this goes down to deep human psychology. And I mean, I know we're all connected and all that stuff, and we're supposed to be all like, kumbaya, but frankly, people don't give a rat's rear end about anything except themselves. And I
Hmm.
know that sounds harsh, and I'm saying it kind of harsh because I want it to get in your head that the other person does not care about you.
Hey, Lee, can you go ahead and let me see the questions so I can
Oh yeah,
field
I'm
some
sorry.
questions as we're going on?
Hang on, guys. Make organizer. That should have done it.
Um, but you're absolutely right. It's they don't give we only care really about ourselves. And if you think, and I always give the analogy of LinkedIn being, this giant virtual chamber of commerce meeting. Are
Right.
you going to go up to people and say, hey, do you want to buy my video marketing services or whatever it is? No, what you would do is you would go and say, hi, so what is it that you do,
Right. Right.
right?
So you start asking questions. The
Mm-hmm.
questioning process is how you get around that half suit of armor.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does a whole ton of other stuff. See, you are appealing to the person's ego, right? I mean, you're getting the other person to talk about them. I mean, this goes back to Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep.
How do you do that? You ask them questions about them. And okay, now you don't have to read the book. That's what it said.
Mm-hmm.
So but when you ask questions, then you start to really understand where the person's coming from. And this questioning process, I mean, it goes all the way up to closing the sale, but it starts off, like Gloria's saying, in the messaging. So you hook up with somebody, um, they
Mm-hmm.
say thank you for, like if you're running, auto engage or something, thank you for telling me happy birthday, thank you for congratulating me on the job thing, and you don't just leave that there. These are little conversations that are opening up for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, I mean, what I've been doing, so once we got auto engaged, what I've been doing is just flipping over the person's profile and just seeing what they're doing. And, a lot of people say, thank you for wishing me happy birthday. And I'll say, well, you're very welcome. Hope you had a great day. And by the way, notice that you did yada, yada. Notice that you're a restaurant manager. Notice that, whatever. Looked at your profile again. Notice this, notice that. How's that going?
Mm-hmm.
Just that one thing. How's that going? Excuse me. You start that questioning process. What you're doing is you're moving around that suit of armor.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And it's really important to know that everybody that you ask that question to, not everybody's going to respond to you. People are busy. They got their own things going on. They might blow you off, but that's why you constantly have to, and that's where the software is really
Right.
good, is you have to kind of develop these.
You have to work that system.
Yeah, you have to work it. That's absolutely right. The more you work it, the more results you'll get.
Well, really what happens on LinkedIn, and this is, I mean, this is why this all works so well the way you teach it, Gloria, in such a seamless way, because really what they're going to do, they're going to go look at your profile.
That's right.
And they're going to make a decision of, do I like that person? Do I not? Do I need them? Do I need, is that somebody that I need to spend some time with right now?
Mm-hmm.
So they look at your profile and they see that you are providing social media services to businesses. They see that you're doing video marketing. They see that you're doing whatever. And they say, well, yeah, actually, I'm kind of interested in that. So then they carry on the conversation.
That's right.
I mean, the generally LinkedIn, I mean, you're in general, I mean, if you look at the demographics of it, you're looking at the more successful sections of society on LinkedIn. So, in other words, they don't have time. They're not just sitting here wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Start asking questions, ask meaningful questions. I take a quick look at the profile. I reference that, just like you would at the Chamber of Commerce meeting if somebody happened to have a big badge on that said, Wells Fargo mortgages or something like that. I would say, you're in the mortgage business? Yeah. So, I used to be in the real estate business. Great business, by the way. How's it going? What do you do? Do you mainly do residential loans, or do you do apartments, or what?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're asking questions. Now, in the question asking process, you're doing a bunch of stuff. One, you're psychologically getting around that suit of armor, but two, you're also starting to gather intelligence about the other person. Specifically, you're looking for places, pain points, areas where your product could benefit them.
Exactly.
Let's
Yep.
move on.
And yep,
I could sit here and
definitely.
talk about this like all night long. I mean, I am just now getting warmed up. And so you turn that lead into, well, let's hit this last thing, because really, unless you're just closing someone on click here, go look at that, fill in your email for that squeeze page or something like that, which is a really low level. That's still a sale, by the way, guys, but it's a really low level sale because there's not much given up for them to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But if you're looking for a fairly high ticket sale, at some point you got to talk to them. So
Exactly.
so really you should look at that back and forth. Think of it like a funnel. You're starting all of these you're giving people the opportunity to start a bunch of conversations with you with
Mm-hmm.
software. You're picking up on those conversations, you're moving the ball forward on a bunch of conversations. Frankly, most of them are going to die right there. A few people are going to move the ball forward because you got a really excellently written profile, and they understand who they're talking to and got an inkling about why they're talking to you. Now, it may be that they want to sell you something. It may not be that they need your services. I mean, you got to figure all that out. You
Right.
wanted to say something?
No, I was just going to say, and part of it is how you position yourself on LinkedIn as well. So they're going to look at your profile, and remember how we teach is that you do your profile very professional. It's your silent salesperson, and it helps position you in a, kind of a place of authority where your profile should really be, I'm about business, I'm about helping people, that type of thing.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of those conversations are going to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you go for the phone call.
Right.
You just say, how do these conversations go down? So somebody says, let's just use I think an example would be good here. Let's just say, let's say we sell video marketing services, and they've looked at your profile. Let's say they run a small mail order business or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you're talking to them back and forth. You ask, well, how's the mail order business? Well, it's going okay. And, then you say, well, mail order is a pretty cool business, actually. It's changed a lot with the internet, right? That's a question, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
moving them forward. They're talking, yeah, it's changed some. I mean, we still use catalogs a lot, blah, blah, blah. What other things do you do? Blah, blah, blah. At that point, it would be very helpful for you to have a website, have something to give them. Don't make them opt into anything. That's going to push people away. But have something to give them. Say, look, I run a company, I own a company, I do this, that does this. Would you mind if I sent that to you? Send it over to them, let them look. In an earlier slide, Gloria had and I'm sure we're going to get to it in a minute, Gloria had the word control.
Mm-hmm.
The way you control sales conversations is by not talking and by asking questions. So it's completely backwards from the way most non-salespeople think it's controlled. So
Yep.
let's go with that mail order business a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
at some point they're going to look at your thing, look at your website, blah, blah, blah. And, at that point, you just got to hit them up and say, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your business, not sell you something, not, uh, twist your arm about what I do and how cool and how great I am.
Mm-hmm.
But, let's hop on the phone sometime.
Yep, and here's a
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say a great tip of what I always like to do is I always ask, so I try to get down and specific into their business. What type of clients or customers are you looking for?
Right.
What type of referrals are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what kind of referrals are you looking for? What kind of clients are you looking for? How are you finding them?
Mm-hmm.
This is developing. This is doing a whole ton of stuff. It is positioning you as an expert. Kind of like when you go to the doctor and say, I don't feel good. And it's, well, you've got a fever. Do you hurt anywhere? Well, I hurt down here. Oh, okay, well, and then they start poking you. Does that hurt? No, that doesn't hurt. Does that hurt? Oh, ow, that hurts, right? So if you would approach it like that, people respond to that very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, get them on the phone with just the idea of, again, LinkedIn is all about creating, it's all about networking, it's all about people getting closer to each other and helping each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that really should be it's not really a pretext, but that really should be the goal of that first conversation.
Yes, it's about them, not about you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, I'd be very happy to, I've got a lot of connections. I know a ton of folks. I'd be very happy to hop on the phone with you sometime. Let's get to know each other and see how I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
With my network or something like that. I mean, people do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, people legitimately do that all the time on LinkedIn without trying to sell each other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people legitimately go to network meetings smart business people are constantly increasing their network without having to have like a goal for that person. They just collect people. So it's the way you do it.
Right.
So if you go at it like that, and then you get people on the phone, then you've taken a huge, huge step in creating that, creating that relationship and positioning yourself as an expert and moving yourself away from being the dreaded salesperson to being the professional service provider who will tell them the truth about this and that and treat them right, just like if you went to an accountant or someone like that, right? That's really the way you want people to think about you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it's the way most people don't do it. So if you do it the way we tell you to, you're going to be like 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 200, because most people do exactly what this first sentence says, which is vomit all over everybody. Gloria, I can't tell you how many times I will, especially with software, I will, like somebody say, well, thanks for this, or, reach out to me, I accept their invitation, whatever. And then the next thing I do is I get this like giant 5-paragraph thing.
Yeah, exactly. I provide SEO services and web development services, yada, yada, yada. I can get you to page 1, yada, yada, yada.
Right. There are two huge things wrong with that. One, there's no relationship. Well, there are probably many huge things wrong with that, but I can think of several. There's no relationship made, right? So it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. This is all about you. It's not about me. Remember, people don't care about you. They care about them. So in all of your conversations with people, it should be about them and not about you. When you vomit, it's about you. It's about what I can do for you. There's that issue, but there's an even more fundamental sales issue going on, and that is the difference between features and benefits. So Gloria, you really like that Tesla, don't you?
Yes.
Did you just like grow up? Of course, guys, Gloria's like way younger than I am. Did you just like grow up and when you from being a little girl on just said, I've always wanted an all-electric car?
No, no,
Does the fact that it's all electric have anything to do with it?
no,
No?
nope.
It's got a big giant battery. You'd be lucky to get your groceries in there. Of course, if you're parking that car in the Publix or Albert's or whatever the name of your grocery store's parking lot where some genius can park next to you and ding it with their door, you need help.
Yeah, exactly. Won't be taking it to the grocery store.
No, no, not at all. I mean, this is a car you just drive around in.
Hmm.
But so tell me about the Tesla.
Well, it's very, very unique.
Let me interrupt you
Yep.
for a second
Yep.
because I want y'all to listen to how she says this. Listen very carefully to her words. So tell me about the Tesla. Why does Gloria want a Tesla so bad?
Because it's unique and nobody else has one really. So I like things that are unique, that stand out.
Why do you like things that are unique and stand out?
I guess I want to be a little bit different. I don't want a Lexus or a Mercedes or a Porsche like you can see everybody else has. I want something that's just different.
I know a
And
guy.
I know it runs
I know.
with that, so.
I know a guy. You know those old Volkswagen buses, the ones with the little
Hmm.
windows all the way around. I forgot what those are called. They're collector's items now. But I know a guy who has one, and I mean it's so old that part of the floor is rusted out. It's got holes in it. Would you like that? That's different.
That's the wrong unique. No, this is that's the wrong unique. This is a more upscale level of uniqueness.
So it's not just unique, is it?
No, no.
What else is it?
Well, it reeks of money and success.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's like,
And
I've got a lot of money, and I'm driving a car that you've never seen or hardly ever have seen, and you don't
that's
have
right.
one.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I can afford it. Exactly.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that it's all electric?
No.
It has jack to do with that, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Now, did y'all hear what she said? Because if you were a luxury car salesperson, okay, name me another luxury car that has a gasoline engine.
A Porsche,
Yeah,
BMW,
that's
Audi.
like a real, like a Porsche. Okay, so let's say that you were working on the Porsche sales lot, and Gloria walks up. Now, Gloria, seriously, has been. I take pictures of Teslas and send them to her. Okay, I mean, that's how crazy she is. Okay, I mean she's a serious Tesla person, so she's got like Tesla in her head. But let's say I'm the Porsche salesperson, and she walks on the lot. Now this girl's all about Tesla, but she's on the Porsche lot, and I'm the salesperson, right? So what am I going to do? Just take my ball and go home, and we can't play? No. See, an intelligent salesperson is going to, she's going to let's say her husband dragged her to the Porsche lot. Now, we both know, I mean, if y'all been married for a while, that, unless she wants the Porsche, they ain't getting the Porsche, right? That's just the way it works.
Right.
So, I mean, your husband's just going to be unhappy. And that's okay. But so she walks up. He's looking at the Porsche. She's sitting in it, and he's like a 5-year-old in his head. He's going ream, ream, like that, but in her mind it's the Tesla, and the salesperson feels this difference between how the husband's reacting to the car and how the wife isn't. So a really smart salesperson's going to start talking to her and asking her questions like, what color car did you want? She's going to say, well, yeah, and it's like that. Well, how long have you been wanting a Porsche? Well, really, Lee, I haven't been wanting one. Oh, okay, I see. The smart salesperson's going to know that all along, right? Okay, I see. So what kind of car do you like? Well, I really have my heart on a Tesla, but my husband wants a Porsche. So I can understand that. Porsche is like I mean, Porsche actually is a car that from childhood, at least guys think about owning. So, a smart salesperson's going to say, well, Teslas are cool. Number one, you always agree with the person. Okay. Well, you're right. Teslas are really cool cars. You don't see many of them. So why? And then a smart salesperson is going to ask her all about why she wanted the Tesla. It's unique. It's cool looking. Money's not an object. As a matter of fact, if it costs more, it's probably better, because this is not just like one of the Porsches that they've got a whole bunch of, but this would have to be like limited edition whatever with the whatever and the the special seats and all that stuff. And if it costs 50 grand more, big deal, right? Matter of fact, that would be better. Higher price tag. So smart salesperson's going to, so now, see, here's the deal. If the salesperson had tried to sell her a Porsche, based on the fact that it's a Porsche, it's got this engine and it does this and all that and the stick shift does that and blah, 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 that sale will never happen. But if the salesperson finds out why she wanted the Tesla, it has nothing to do with the Tesla, by the way. It never has anything to do with the product. It always has to do with what the product's going to do for the person. It has nothing to do with the product. Okay? So the salesperson figures out why she wants Tesla, and then the salesperson takes a Porsche and wraps it up in that and sells it to her. And by that, what I mean is the salesperson says, well, I'll tell you what, Tesla's about 120 or so. We have, now we don't keep these outside, as you can imagine. Okay? We keep these over here. Would you mind going over here and looking at a couple of these? Sure, So they go over there and look at those, and the salesperson starts talking about how nobody has them, you never see them, they're recognizable. Maybe they have some slick magazine with, like, what is that magazine that Dan Kennedy sends out to all of his friends all the time? The magazine with all the expensive stuff to buy. I've forgotten the name of it. You know what I'm talking about. So, you pull out the magazine, sales tools, et cetera, show it to them. And so what you're doing is you are proving to her that this car meets her what she wants out of a car, okay?
Yeah.
It's going to satisfy her needs. Now, see?
Exactly.
Now, she has needs, okay? The way the thing that you're selling satisfies those needs, those are called benefits, okay? The fact, I mean, there's like a match there. And then the thing that makes the benefit work, the proof that the benefit works, that's the feature. So if she's asking, well, I see Porsche, she's just going to get a little upset, Well, I see Porsches all the time. As a matter of fact, there's one right there. So, when you look over there, that piece of junk, that's a $75,000 car for a bunch of people who can't afford the real thing like this one. Let me tell you why this one's different from that one. See? So then you get into the paint, then you get into the engine, then you get into the this and the that and the other stuff. These are features that she would have never cared about, except now they become benefits because she's being explained to why these features are proof that she's getting something unique, something expensive, something that shows the world that she's extremely successful and can afford stuff they can't.
Right. Right. And so if that going back to that analogy, if that salesperson would have just came up and just kind of vomited all over me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just this Porsche is this, and this. The same way that if how people do on LinkedIn, where I see it all the time, then you're not going to get anywhere. Just like that salesperson wouldn't have got anywhere. And that's,
right.
You do have to think the exact opposite.
So,
and it's a little bit difficult sometimes. But
it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to thinking like that. You're used to thinking from your point of view, right? You're not used to thinking from the other person's point of view. So let's bring it back down to selling these like offline consulting stuff and social media and stuff like that. If you walk up to somebody first thing and say, hey, I'm a LinkedIn stud. I can get your account, real big, and I can do this and all that, and you'll have all this. They're going to get totally cross-eyed, and inside their heart, they're going to think, I don't care. because you never figured out why they might care. See, just like I had to figure out why Gloria wanted a Tesla so bad. So the
Mm-hmm.
person you're talking to, let's say you got a lead on LinkedIn of somebody, and it may be a lead for you doing social media type services for. It has nothing to do with social media. Nothing. You need to find out what they want to do and why they want to do it. Well, so let's say it's somebody that an author. I mean, we had somebody who was an author ask us some
Mm-hmm.
questions recently. So why would an author want this? Well, they want to sell more books. They want to make more money. They want the prestige of being a bestseller on Amazon or whatever. Okay, so if you start finding out, see, all those things are very much like Gloria's. The fact that the car is unique. Well, that means that when other people see it, they want to have seen one, and I'm driving it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you find out, well, and you have to ask questions intelligently over a period of time to figure this out. So if you find out what the person actually wants and why they want it, then what you do is you take the thing that you're selling and you put a package around it. And you're not lying, you're just packaging. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you package this thing as the solution. So kind of mundane sales. So basically, Bill, I don't know if we have a Bill on the webinar or not, so if we do, I'm not talking about you, Bill, but basically I just need a name. So basically, Bill, what you're telling me is on the off season for your restaurant, you need to get more people in? Right. So, and that's why? Well, we'll make more money, but honestly, it's going to help my cash flow a lot. I won't have to take so much from the season and hold it back to pay for the off season. It is really hard to figure that out. So it's going to smooth out your cash flow. It's going to do yada, yada, yada. Great. And so basically, what you would do is you would present your solution. See, I could take anything y'all sell, and I can present it as a solution for virtually anything. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So SEO, if you ever say the word SEO to any, or the acronym SEO to anybody, you should just basically go in the backyard and blow your brains out. But for exactly the same reason I'm talking about. But SEO, video marketing, pay-per-click, whatever, text message marketing. So you have a bunch of solutions, right? A bunch of solutions to you need to take your text messaging marketing service and you need to wrap it up as, well, look, Bill, I got a way that I think can help you get more people in your restaurant in the off season. See, he's going to be all over that. He said, well, how would that work? Okay. Well, it's going to get more people who already know about your restaurant back in again, and it's also going to incentivize them to bring other people in. Is that something you'd be interested in? So you could take text message marketing and wrap it up like that. So basically what I did is I took text message marketing and wrapped it up as a solution to Bill's specific problem. But see, you will never know what Bill's specific problem is, and I would never know why Gloria wants Tesla unless I ask.
That's right.
So that's really, that's besides the vomit thing makes you look like a jerk, from a sales point of view, the real reason that it doesn't work is because when you vomited, you gave the person a bunch of features about what you're selling that you think are important, but they're not. A bunch of features, and all of those features didn't hit that person's target. Because it's kind of like you were speaking Italian and they're speaking German. See? They're speaking, I need more people in my restaurant during the off time. You're speaking, I can get your website on page 1. I mean, hello, would somebody please tell me how what these two things have to do with each other? Another giant issue with vomiting, besides the fact people don't believe it anyway, is the fact that in your head, you've got all this vocabulary like SEO, PPC, and all that stuff, and they don't, see. And so then when you start talking about that, it's like if you go to the doctor and you say, well, this part of my toe hurts, and then they start telling you all of those words that they learn in medical school. And you say, no, no, doc, I'm talking about my toe, right? Well, you're talking two different languages, right? See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So don't do that. And the way you don't do that is you start asking questions and you start really reading what people tell you, and then when you move them to the phone, you ask them more questions. So that's what Gloria means
Exactly.
by you do the exact opposite. You don't vomit ever because you're going to have that mismatch of features and benefits. You find out what they need and why they need it. And then you package up what you've got to sell as a possible solution to why they need it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you will, A, find the sales process actually very enjoyable, but you will have massive more success with it. And again, look. I know a lot of this is like semi-abstract. Don't worry. I'm going to leave you step 1, step 2, step 3 before we go.
Mm-hmm.
Initial connection request. Thank them. It's like somebody reached out to you and you said, they wanted to connect with you. You accepted that. You go back to your connections and sort that for your initial requests and say, hey, so-and-so, I just accepted your connection. Looked at your profile. I mean, that's really cool what you do. How long have you been doing that? I mean, you can read on the profile how long they've been doing that, but that's, who has time to read? How long have you been doing that? Or how did you get into that work? Or something like that. You're starting the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Back and forth, flipping into an appointment. Laura, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
You are
because
super good at that, by the way.
yeah, because what happens is you're actually, you've got that initial connection request, which is completely cold, and you don't know them from Adam, and they don't know you from Adam. And so you're trying to build a relationship. Now, again, everybody that you connect with is not going to turn into a deal, obviously, and not everybody you connect with is going to respond to your, as you do messages and stuff like that. They're busy and stuff like that. But that is okay, because what you want to do is you want to find the ready, willing, and able people. And so normally the process looks something like this, is you do an initial connection request, or if they're already connected to you, it could be you endorsed them, or they endorsed you, or you congratulated them or said happy birthday or something like that. And there's a response back. Okay, you can initiate the response or they can initiate the response. It doesn't matter. And what's going to end up happening is you carry that conversation forward. Okay, one of the ways that I carry the conversation forward is I'll, just like Lee said, look at their profile, ask them questions about them and their business. A good question, in addition to what type of referrals they're looking for, is, I'll say something like, do you do business mostly local, or do you do it all over, all over the United States, or do you do it all over the world? And that focuses it on them, and then they usually respond back because they're thinking, oh, yeah, maybe she knows somebody. They've looked at my profile. I've got 500 plus connections, but I've got over 9,000 connections. And then what we do is just have a conversation a couple messages back and forth, and then if it goes to the point where it's going to be into an appointment, typically like a phone appointment, what I'll say is something like, well, I think I may be able to help you out. Let's see if we can do a quick chat to see if there's any way, maybe I can help you out. Maybe you can help me out. Maybe we can have a mutually beneficial relationship, or something to that effect. And that almost always leads to a quick, I let them know that it's going to be a quick 5 or 10 minute phone call. It's not going to take long. Most people are busy. And then I'll get that request for a phone call accepted. And then from there, it's just a matter of, on the phone, seeing if there's a match to do business. And that's pretty much it. That's really how it goes. So we do the back and forth. And then I usually try to gauge to see Is there a way that, and this is genuine, this isn't all, oh, I'm just faking it, because I really like to only talk to people that there may be a way that we can literally, help each other out. There's a good possibility that we can help each other out. And part of that does include my services as well. I just don't mention it at that time.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
fundamentally, it has to be genuine. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Or
does
else
have
it's
to be
really
genuine.
not going to work. I mean, it's just.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
ideally, this whole thing's a value for value exchange, and I can't tell you how many people I hook up with other people, and I'm happy to do that.
Absolutely. I'll do that too to see, because genuinely, I do want to see if there's a way, because it's about networking as well. So is there a way that this may not turn into a quote-unquote deal, but is there a way that this can turn into a mutually beneficial networking relationship where sometime in the future, now that I have them as my connection, they're familiar with me somewhat, I'm familiar with them, that should we ever need to reach out to each other in the future, and that could be, me asking for referrals, hey, I'm expanding in the XYZ market, and I notice you have a lot of connections in that market. Do you have anybody you could refer to me? It could turn into something like that in the future. But that initial appointment is, it's you're getting warm leads, and it's just like if you're at a networking meeting. When you're going around the room and you're talking to people and you're doing that initial discussion, and then there's someone that says, yeah, we should probably, what? Yeah, we should talk again. I know what you do, you know what I do. I'm going to either need your services or know someone that's going to need your services.
That's exactly the way it goes down. What's really funny, and I was listening, but during webinars, in case y'all don't know, I usually check my email on my phone, and I also check Facebook. Now, there's a reason that I do that, because sometimes people buy these webinars for us, and they can't get on. They lose the link, whatever. And so I have a habit of just kind of checking Facebook, messaging, Skype, wherever, in case somebody needs some help getting on. But while we were talking about this, this guy sends me a message through LinkedIn. This is hilarious. So he was congratulated by the software, because it says, hey, so-and-so, congrats, hope you're doing well. And then I've got this message which has a paragraph, it has 10 bullet points, it has another paragraph with a phone number, and then it has a sign-off. And it's like, I've been looking for an opportunity to earn some additional income with a system that is simple and not very labor-intensive. And I found it, and I'm sharing with you. Thank you. I didn't ask you to do that. And then I've got a list. This is so funny. I've got a list of 10 things that I have to do now. A, watch the video. B, make sure I'm ready for, I love number 2, make sure you're ready for this. I'm sitting down. Make sure you're ready for this. Make a decision. I'm pretty good at doing that. Make sure this guy's my sponsor. Get back with him. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is like, perfect example of throwing up. Because, see, this guy may be the greatest guy in the world, I mean, it just may be a wonderful person. But and it doesn't bother me personally too much. I don't, I don't have a cow and think, oh my God, somebody's trying to sell me something. I expect that. I've been selling stuff since I was 12 years old. But I'm thinking, wow, it's kind of sad, because this person's going to have to send out this massive message to all these people to ever get one person to say yes to this. When, in point of fact, if they were doing it with our system, the system that I said the system that Gloria taught me, it would work so much better. Like, congrats, how you doing? I'm doing really great. Listen, I looked at your profile and I noticed you were in XYZ business. How's that going? Back. It's going pretty well. I've been doing this for a few years. I noticed and I'm not saying anything specific because I don't want to, hurt the person's feelings if it ever get to them. I noticed you do, ABC. How's that going? Oh, it's going pretty well. I am kind of looking for something else, which is then we move on. The conversation progresses, or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the appointment, it's all about them. It was always all about them. It's the way you maintain control of this process is by giving it is by on the outside giving the other person control, letting them talk.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So you're on the phone, and you got to kind of gauge this. I mean, is it time to really get into what you want to talk about, which is the service or product that you're trying to sell them? Or is it just one of those, like Gloria was talking about, is one of those conversations where you try to get, it's not quite time to talk about it, and y'all will get very, very good at gauging that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you can, again, picture like you're in this huge virtual chamber of commerce, everybody that you go around the room, because normally all those things have like a networking time either before or after the meeting, and it's just that you go around the room and you talk to people. Not everybody that you talk to is going to go, oh, I need your services, I've been waiting for you, where have you been all my life? They're not going to do that, but there's probably going to be some through the conversations that you're really going to click with, and that you're going to have follow-on conversations. You're moving the sales process forward. And LinkedIn is like that, except you can do it on a much bigger scale because you don't have to like drive to these meetings and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, you can carry on multiple conversations all at one time. I just had somebody put in the chat that there is no audio. Can the rest of y'all hear us? Because nobody else said no audio. I just need to know what to do about this, whether just tell them to check their audio setting. Steve says we're fine. So if y'all give me a second to answer this person. Cool. So yeah, again, questioning the other person. Thank you, Joshua. Questioning the other person. And there's a really slick way of doing this, by the way, that...
Do we want to stop for a second to see if anybody has any questions about any of this that we've covered so far?
That's a great idea. So are y'all up to snuff? Got any questions to this point? I think we're good to go. So, you do need to have 5 or 6 questions in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And a great question Steve said, is there any place this isn't like basic 21st century type selling? Steve, I'm not quite understanding that. Is there any place? Steve, if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you got something interesting there, but if you could elaborate that on that a little bit, then we'll definitely talk about it. So you do need to have some questions when you get somebody on the phone, okay? And is this just basic selling? This webinar?
Yeah, well, we go into this part of
the next thing. Yeah, go ahead, Gloria.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, this is kind of sales psychology and stuff like that. Basic. I guess you could call it basic or traditional or standard. The thing is that most people don't do this on LinkedIn. So we're trying to kind of cover the sales process, and then we'll wrap it up and apply it to LinkedIn specifically, and then kind of finish it off with a role play from LinkedIn initial message to a phone appointment.
Let me,
depending, because I might have some objections, so we're going to cover that as well.
All of the above, but Steve, selling has never changed, ever, and it never will change. It has nothing to do with technology, because it has everything to do with psychology. I mean, if we were cats, we would be selling to each other in a different way. But selling has nothing to do with any of this stuff. I mean, selling has literally been the same forever. I actually collect books, like old books about selling, the really good ones. It's always the same. Nobody has ever invented anything. The only thing that's ever happened is that people don't learn how to sell, and people come up with stuff that has nothing to do with anything that they want to sell as a new selling system. But fundamentally, selling always works the same way, because human beings never change. We're fundamentally only interested in ourselves. We're fundamentally only interested in, is this thing going to answer my needs, which is, in other words, what are the benefits? Don't tell me how big the engine is in the Porsche, right? Don't tell me how far I can go by plugging in my Tesla. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in showing off. Okay, talk to me about showing off. Talk to me about, have you ever seen this car before? Yes, you have. No, you haven't, because this is a unique paint job. We have one unique paint job on this car that is, there's only 2 sold in the state of California, and 1 was sold in the state of New York, and I got 1 sitting here on the lot in Atlanta. Completely unique. See?
Yeah, and what I think happens too is that people, like I've seen it, where some people, because we kind of teach us this process with the initial messaging, get them on a phone appointment, and then from there, once you do your kind of pre-qualifying and finding information out about them, moving it to either you're demonstrating, you're
Right.
doing another phone appointment, you're giving a proposal or something like that. And we've had people get hung up on, well, they're not buying. Well, it's because of this right here, this front end. The front end is screwed up, and you didn't meet their needs and cover their questions, answer their questions and stuff. So the back end, when you asked for the sale, got screwed up. So that's why I think it's important to cover this.
The only reason somebody's going to buy something from you is because they need it. Seriously. I mean, it's a value for value exchange.
Exactly.
So, when you screw up the sales process, but yet you're sitting there trying to sell something to the other person, it's because they're sitting there trying to desperately figure out whether your thing is going to meet their needs, even though you are so backwards in the way you're explaining it. See, they're sitting there looking at the Porsche, the engine on the Porsche. They're sitting there looking at your text message marketing system and thinking, well, I wonder if that will do for our business what I need it to do. So you never figure, you're putting the burden of figuring that out on them. That means they're probably not going to buy. But the only reason they're hanging in there with you is because they're trying to figure out if it's going to work for them. See, I mean, that usually, honestly, that's how 95% of salespeople approach things. So, yeah, you need to have in your mind a set series of questions. And again, at the end, I'll write all this down for you. When you get somebody on the phone, okay, the first time, you need to basically, and a really, really slick way of going from we're talking to now it's time for me to ask questions and you to answer questions. I've used this for decades. It works amazingly in every business in the world. If you will say the following, so Gloria, let's say I just got you on the phone, and Gloria, let's do a little role playing here. Let's say you own an engineering company, and I do video marketing, and we've been going back and forth on LinkedIn, and we're on the phone for the first time. And I'm feeling pretty good about it from my point of view as a salesperson. In other words, our messaging went well. I'm feeling like we can actually enter into a real sales conversation. So ring, ring, ring. You answer the phone.
Gloria's Engineering.
Hey, Gloria, Lee Cole, how are you?
Oh, hi, Lee.
It's nice to talk with you finally.
Yeah, same here.
Well, I've really, really enjoyed our messaging back and forth. It looks like you run a really, really cool business.
Yeah, it gets a little bit technical at times. We do systems engineering and analysis and things of that nature for large businesses that want to find out, a little more about their business. So it's not the civil engineering or
Right.
mechanical engineering per se, a little bit different type of engineering.
It's very cool stuff. And, I sent you that little PDF about what we do in the video marketing and all that. And I know we're here to talk about this. Guys, I'm talking to our webinar attendees. Here's where the magic happens. Gloria, would you mind, before we started talking about that, if I ask you a couple of more questions about your business?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, y'all need to write that sentence down and, like, tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids. Because, see, that sentence is so psychologically powerful, because what it did was it gave me control of the conversation because I'm now in the driver's seat asking questions. It also made her feel very comfortable because she's thinking, whew, Leah's not going to talk about what we're here to talk about, which is potentially me spending money. He's
Hmm.
going to ask me some more stuff about me. Yay, I get to talk about me some more. See? So, John, I just assumed that we sent her so like I don't know. You could have a video about what you do. You could have a
A
PDF
white
about what you
paper,
do. A
case
white
study.
paper. It
Hmm.
really has a lot to do with who you're selling to and how you're selling to them. I mean, if this is an engineering company with like 10 employees, then I'm going to send them a really, really nice white paper that I paid a fair amount of money for through the mail. Okay, so. Um, so let's suppose I did that, but see, I want to get control of the process here. So psychologically, I put her to, I lay all her fears. I'm saying we're not talking about money yet. I say before we get going. Okay, that's key. Before we get going, would you mind if I ask you a few more questions about your business? I mean, who's not going to say yes, right?
Hmm.
So because she's saying yes for two reasons. One, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor and you got to get a shot. Okay, so she's putting off the pain of talking
Hmm.
about the real thing that we're talking about. But two, it's an ego thing. It's time for her to talk about herself and her business as she builds some more. So you'd have to massage these questions a little bit, because if you've already gotten these answers in the messaging, you don't want to look like, gee, I didn't pay attention to all the stuff you told me on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's suppose that I don't know the answer to these questions that we never talked about. So Gloria, how long have you actually owned this company?
About 10 years.
That's really cool. And you started this business yourself?
I did. I started it myself. It was myself and my husband. He kind of takes care of the back end and the paperwork and stuff, and I do all of the front end and
That,
marketing and
that,
things
that is
like that.
so incredibly cool. I run my own business. I love talking to entrepreneurs. That is really cool. What inspired you 10 years ago to start this business?
Well, obviously I was working in the corporate world, and I, like a lot of people, thought, oh, I could do this better than, the company I was working for, and just kind of got sick of the grind and decided to do it.
So guys, I ask her a few really safe generic questions that anybody's going to answer with long answers. The reason is I don't really care why I mean, it's interesting, but from a sales point of view, I could care less why she started her business. Okay,
Hmm.
because that was 10 years ago. This is today. I just want to get her talking. I want to get her making noise with her mouth and talking about herself. So now I need to focus my questions. Let's say I've forgotten if I said what I'm selling. Let's say I'm selling video marketing things or something. Let's say I'm selling that. So now I need to focus my questions on my stuff. Okay, I'm
Hmm.
looking for I'm basically just like with the Tesla Porsche conversation. I'm looking for why she needs what she needs, so that I can wrap up what I'm selling as a potential solution to her problem, so that it will look like a benefit to her, and I'm not just talking ancient Chinese to someone who only speaks French. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I would move into, at this point, once I ask a couple of really safe, broad questions, I would move into questions like, well, Gloria, you know, when we were messaging each other back and forth, you told me a little bit about how you market your services, and I think there's a lot of education that goes on between you and your potential clients.
Yeah, you know, because it can be sometimes complex concepts. Mm-hmm.
And you had a few ways that you were helping that process along. I think you told me you had hired some people to write some really, you know, fairly extensive white papers and things like that. Now,
Exactly.
how well
Yeah.
does that work for you?
Um, you know, it works okay. I think it could work better. We are in the process of hiring an actual, you know, a salesperson to go out and make sales calls and stuff like that. We're kind of narrowing that down right now. We have a couple candidates that are on the short list, and we're talking to them.
Now, see, it's according to specifically what kind of video stuff I do, but I'm thinking two things. One, I'm thinking, how is she going to use video? Maybe for leads, okay? Or maybe the salesperson is going to use like a really expensive, high production value video in the sales process. And so that would have to do with specifically what I'm selling. But so I'm going to continue asking her questions, and we don't have to go through this whole thing, but I'm going to continue asking her questions. And I am looking for, look, she's not wasting time being on the phone with me. She has better things to do than to talk to me, frankly. So there's some pain involved. There's a solution that she is looking for. She may not have really articulated it to herself, frankly, but she has a problem that she wants to solve, and I need to figure out what that problem is. Because if I can figure out what that problem is that she wants to solve, and then if I can wrap up what I sell as a potential solution to that problem, we have a really good chance of doing business together. So looking, you know, just continuing to massage the questions. Much like a doctor will ask you questions, you know, does it hurt here? Well, does it hurt over there? Well, when you move that way, does that do that? You know, well, how long's, you know, so I would ask her a bunch of questions about that. And then what I'm thinking, generally, I mean, whether I'm in front of someone or on the phone or whatever, I'm taking notes. Okay, I'm writing stuff down. So basically, I'm looking for her pain. So her pain might be, as we talk about this a little more, it may be, well, the salespeople have trouble explaining what we do to the client. Or it may be, yeah, we've hired a salesperson, but that didn't work out too well. Why didn't it work out too well? Well, they were a pretty good salesperson. Honestly, we have a little trouble finding enough people for them to talk to. So they have a lead problem. See, so I need to figure out exactly what the problem is so that I can wrap up what I'm selling as the solution to the problem. So that's what Gloria means when she says it's all about them.
Exactly.
So we move from the using the human psychology and ego to get around the forward-facing armor to now let's figure out why you're on the phone with me and what your problem is and how what I do can solve your problem. So because see, if I just start off telling her about how cool all my video marketing stuff is and how I can get these videos to the top of Google and all this stuff, and she's thinking, I really need a few really well-made videos so that my salesperson can use these in our sales process. See, those are two entirely different uses of video. See, I'm talking about one use of video. She's thinking I really need another use of video. I'm not making a sale. I'm just wasting time.
Right.
So I must find out why she needs, what she wants and why she needs it. The benefits. What is it going to do for her? Before I can figure out whether what I'm selling is going to be a possible solution to that. This is good. Y'all need to learn to ask questions and shut up. A great metaphor for this is the other person is like a balloon full of air, not necessarily hot air, but a balloon full of air, and you need to let the balloon get empty. Okay, you need to sit there and not interrupt and not complete sentences and not do all of that stuff and let them talk until they're done. And then you ask them another question. Now see, this does a whole ton of stuff. Besides the fact that you get around their armor, besides the fact that you're learning about why they need what they need, this lets you think while they're talking. It's almost impossible to think strategically and talk at the same time. So you ask a quick question, the other person's just talking. You're thinking, huh, well, she really needs that video for a salesperson to show to their customers. So I think really, yeah, we can do that. You're thinking, I'm looking about $4 or $5 grand per video here, probably about maybe a few week process. We'll have to hire some people to go out there and blah blah blah. But it's what my company does. We can do that. And so you're thinking through all this stuff, and you are thinking of the next question to ask, and you're picking up on things. So you say, well, the white paper is not really doing it, and you're kind of looking at video, Gloria, because you think that's really going to help people understand what you're doing. Have you tried this before? How do you envision these videos looking? Do you have anything? Do you have anything similar to this that you use? Do you have any experience with this? Do you have any competitors that do this? See, you're figuring all this stuff out. She's just sitting over there talking a blue streak, and she can't. She can't think strategically while she's doing this. This gives me massive power over her. From a salesperson's point of view, it gives me massive power because all I got to do is think of the next right question. Okay, and I ask the question, and then she talks.
Exactly.
Cool stuff. Objections. Yeah. I mean, people raise objections for a whole bunch of reasons. One, they want to slow down the process, frankly. They feel pushed, and also people raise objections because they have a legitimate objection.
Because I've heard some people just mention, oh, I went through the entire process, and then when I went to close them, they said they'd have to think about it, or they said, they don't have the cash right now.
Well, let's talk about the not having cash right now. Yeah, you're talking to the wrong person. You need to drop them like hot potato. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm glad you're on the planet. Thank goodness that you're one of the 6 or 7 billion people on Earth. But do not let the door hit you in the rear end on the way out of the building. I mean, that you need to drop them like hot potato, because if you don't have cash, we are not in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Okay. So and you look, you're not going to, like, some people are so desperate to make a sale, they're trying to, they end up negotiating with themselves, and the big mistake. Get more people to talk to and move on. We had somebody in the Facebook group who's facing this exact issue, and I think my answer was just keep talking, get more people to talk to. Just stuff the top of the sales funnel with more people.
Yeah, because what happens, just the psychology of us as selling our services, is that if we don't have enough people to talk to, enough leads coming in, we're not working enough leads, then we'll try to make that into a sale by cutting cutting the price down to virtually like you're doing all this work for nothing type of thing. That
won't work. Just don't do that.
Exactly.
I mean, if it does work, it's going to be a hateful process. But that just won't work. You got to understand. Yeah. Look, objections are okay. You will get done right. You're not going to get a ton of objections, and it is legitimate for a person to have to think about it. It is there are a few little nuances. I mean, there's some questions that you probably should, that you will learn that you should have asked early on instead of later on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like, um, who runs the company? You know, so Gloria and her husband run the company. So, well, big red flag. Who makes the decisions?
Mm-hmm.
Does she make the decisions? Does he make the decisions? Or they both make the decisions? You know, sometimes, honestly, you're talking to her, and you know, or you could be talking to him. You know, it's a husband and wife business. You know, and really, he really does need to run it by her. Okay, and that's okay. And sometimes you have to just back up and do the whole sales process all over again with the other person. See,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's life in the big city. Um, the real solution to that is quit getting addicted to the outcome of each sale and just start talking to a whole lot more people. Start creating more and more and more messages. And just
Mm-hmm.
not caring whether you close a sale or not. Because if you do this with numbers intelligently, not by vomiting, but if you do this with numbers intelligently, you'll naturally close enough deals to make really good money.
Yeah, I think, some of the numbers that we've seen with some of our students is, like a 50% close ratio, something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because really, I mean, why would somebody waste their time on the phone with you?
Exactly.
You know, except the person that doesn't have any money and they're hoping that you're going to give them a freebie, you know, or that maybe you're as much of a loser as they are. I know that sounds harsh, but whatever. Um, you know, except for that person. If you find somebody like that, you need to politely say, you know, you need to politely get them off the phone.
Hmm.
They're not worth talking to.
Right.
Maybe they will be someday, but you need to politely get them off the phone. Um, Posturing, positioning, and control, that is the natural outgrowth of this process. If you ask questions and listen, you're in control of the process.
Hmm.
See, the questions are like the rudder of a boat. I can make the person talk about what I want to. Gloria, I have in mind we're going to talk about something. You
Yeah, no,
really like that Tesla, right?
I do. I like that Tesla a lot.
Yeah, and you like it because it makes you feel like, you know, you've arrived.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah.
Do you know who drives a Tesla here in Atlanta?
Who?
Evander Holyfield.
Really?
For real. I mean, you know who Evander Holyfield is.
Yeah, yeah, boxer.
Yeah, absolutely. You like boxing?
I don't like boxing, but I know of him.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you like boxing?
I just never got into it. I
Come on,
just
there's
that
blood. I mean, you know, there's
Yeah,
people
exactly. I
getting
think that's
hurt,
why
people
I've
getting
never
hurt.
gotten into it because it's just so brutal. I'm
Did,
of the
did, did,
weaker
did y'all see how
sex, right?
fast I got her to talk about what I wanted to, which was boxing?
Right. There you go.
It's through questions. The questions are like the rudder of a boat.
Mhm.
I mean, I could make her talk about, you know, like sailing in New Zealand if I wanted to. You know, I mean, you can make somebody talk about anything. They may not be that interested in it. It may not last forever, but you can move a conversation where you want to. It's not the person that's doing the talking that's doing that. It's the person that's asking the questions.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point. Excellent point.
It took like 3 questions for me to make you talk about. It really, once we hit Evander Holyfield, yeah,
Mhm.
it took like 3 questions for me to get you talking about boxing, which you don't want to talk about because you don't like it.
Right.
Right. See, I made you talk about something you don't even like. So there. So, guys, control, positioning.
Mhm.
Positioning is a natural outgrowth of the questioning process because when you go to the doctor does not say, oh, welcome, thank you so much. By the way, we've scheduled your surgery for Thursday. Don't eat anything after, let's say, about 5 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Surgery? Man, I'm here because I got a sore throat. You know, that would look stupid, but that's like vomiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the positioning is when you care about the other person enough to ask them about them. That positions you not as a salesperson, as a vomiter, but as a trusted advisor, as a service provider, as a professional who's trying to help them figure out their issue.
Right.
So that is all a completely natural outgrowth of this entire process.
Yep.
I think we pretty much did that.
Yeah, we did. I don't know if they want to see it from the kind of the initial. What I thought we might do is get your notepad out, and then
Well, it
we
was
can.
down. I might have to back out of this. Let's see. Here we go.
Okay, cool. And then kind of start from that messaging, like the initial one is initial connection, something like that, so we can kind of see the process all the way through. So it starts with Lee sending me an initial connection request. I accepted.
So then I'm going to pick up the ball and say, I looked at your profile, and or I'm going to go look at her profile and find something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you've been running this engineering company for 10 years. I got a good friend who runs, it's a civil engineering company. I got a good friend who runs an engineering company. You know, how's that working for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can say that, or you can say, if there's, thanks for accepting my connection. I have a rather large network. If there's anything that me or my connections can do for you, me or my network can do for you, please let me know. You can say something like that too. So it doesn't matter. The whole thing is that you want to try to get a response back. So I'm in the chatty mood, and for these purposes, I'll just say, yeah, I've been doing it for I've been doing it for a long time. I've been in the business for about 10 years, and it gets busy at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at some point, we're going to need to get on the phone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So flip the conversation to the phone.
Yeah. So how would you do that if I sent back? You said I looked at your profile and it sounds interesting, and I went, yeah, I've been doing it about 10 years, and it gets really busy at times.
Yeah, I would discuss. See, busy is pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's saying, Lee, I work too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so busy's pain. So I mean, we would still be messaging, but I would explore that. I've got that, by the way. Okay, so I mean, here I am working at almost 10 o'clock at night, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got that. I totally understand. Say, yeah, I understand. That's kind of comes with the territory of running your own business. Specifically, what are you doing too much of, or basically, I would ask her, tell me a little bit about that. So we're going to have to develop that pain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I'm selling video marketing services. Why would I want to develop that pain some?
To see if your solution would fit.
There we go. Because see, that starts to tell me what her needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could move into, we can either do this in the messaging process or on the phone, but if we can move into, Lee, I'm wearing too many hats.
Mm-hmm.
Lee, I really, really, really enjoy the systems analysis, the IT side of this. I'm having to do too much marketing.
Right.
See, I'm honestly, I'm just wearing too many hats. It's killing me. So let's say, Gloria, that was the deal. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you love the systems analysis stuff. You love creating all this cool stuff and figuring out all these problems for companies. But it's not your favorite thing, getting business, right?
Right.
And but you're having to do something that's not your favorite thing. You're having to do a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're working too hard. I mean, you're working 10, 12, 14 hours a day.
And you can probably move that conversation to close to a phone call
Oh
by
yeah.
saying something like, oh, how long have you been on LinkedIn? How do you like it for getting business?
Mhm.
Something like that is a good question. How do you like it for networking and
Exactly,
getting business?
exactly. And you
Mhm.
know, just say I've got a lot of the same problems. I've got some solutions that I use in my business. You know,
Mhm.
in other words, you're not a salesperson. You're like two business people at a Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Exactly.
I've got
Yep.
some solutions that I use in my business. Well, gee, what are those? I'd be
Mhm.
happy to tell you. It's a little easier to talk than type. You want to just get on the phone for 15 minutes sometime? Something like that. So then you've moved it to the phone, right?
Yep.
And then on the phone, you can't necessarily move into sales mode too fast. But on the phone, you've got to, that's when you start asking more questions. Hey, how
So
you
let's
doing? Blah
pick
blah
up
blah.
there.
Okay,
Let's pick
so
up
we're on the
there.
phone. Uh, at some point, besides greetings and it's great to talk to you, and really think it's cool the business that you run, and you mentioned that you're working too hard. Gloria, you mentioned you just working way too hard. I understand totally. I work with a lot of people that are in the same boat you are. They're running their business and they're doing all their marketing, which I think is pretty much what you told me, right?
Exactly.
Well, I'd like to know more about that, but this is where the golden sentence comes in. Before we talk about that, Gloria, would you mind if I ask you a couple more questions about your business?
Sure.
Okay. Before we get going, would you mind if I asked you a couple more questions about your business? I got to tell you, that sentence right there,
That's money right there.
that's this whole thing is like hinges on that one sentence.
Hmm.
She's going to say sure. So then, let's say I don't know how long she's been in business. You start with a couple of innocuous questions that make her talk a bunch. Okay, so she's talking. You shut up while she's talking. I don't care how long she goes. You shut up.
Hmm.
Okay, then you ask another question. Blah 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 blah. So, well, Gloria, that's all really interesting. How the company evolved, and you told me it grew real fast, and it looks like it just sort of grew faster than essentially you and your husband can manage. Is that right?
So let's do this as a real quick role play. See if you
Yeah.
can send me a proposal. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how well you do.
So,
If I feel I'm being sold, then I won't do it right.
yeah, that's fine. So Gloria, I mean, from what you told me, this business just sort of took off after a couple of years, and it
Hmm.
grew, and it's basically grown faster than your management has grown. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for a while it was just my husband and I was kind of, I was doing it all and had the time to do it all. And now it's, what happens after you've been in business for a while is you get word of mouth and stuff like that and repeat clients and things of that nature. And so it's, gotten a little bit too busy. And what I find seems to happen is that I'll get in this kind of marketing mode where we're trying to hustle for business and stuff, and then I get the business, and then I have to work the business, and I stop marketing. So it's almost like feast famine, feast famine.
Sure.
There's really no consistency type of thing going on.
Sure. I completely understand that. A lot of businesses the size of your business have that. Well, let me ask some questions because you had mentioned earlier that you really like the systems analysis part a lot more than the marketing. Is that right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Well, that makes total sense. And you're doing too much, right?
Yeah, I mean, for my taste, I'm doing too much
Yeah.
marketing. Yeah,
I mean, but
I'd
you're
like to
doing too
not.
much. You're spending too much time working.
Yes, yes, exactly. More specifically, spending too much. I don't feel like I'm spending enough time. If I could dedicate my time a little bit better, I'd want to be spending more time, doing the actual analysis and problem solving.
So it sounds like you got to let something go, and the thing that you would want to let go would be some of the marketing so that you can put more effort into the thing that you really like and that you're really good at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that makes sense. So what are you planning on doing to solve that problem?
Well, we tried this before. We recently hired a salesperson, and they're just kind of getting up and trained on what we do and stuff like that. And as you can imagine, the sales process, I mean, it's just not like it's not an impulse buy. I mean, our clients spend a lot of money with us, and so it's a little bit of a longer sales process, almost like selling large software
Yeah.
systems. It's a it just doesn't happen overnight.
What's your average sale? Do you mind me asking?
Yeah, so our average sale is around $50,000.
Okay. And what is your average sales cycle? How long does it take your average pretty good salesperson to create that?
It takes about 8 weeks.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that. I mean, they have to have somebody to talk to, right? I mean, there has to be a
Yes.
lead, and then they have to, probably with you, there's a fair amount of education going on.
Yes, exactly.
And then they have to close that. Of course, that's where the skill of the salesperson comes in. So let's talk about that process a little bit. Where do you get the leads from?
So how we've been generating the leads is we have sent out, we do a lot of direct mail. It's a very time-consuming and it's expensive and stuff like that, and have developed a white paper. So we get a list, a specific list of kind of the type of company that would need our services, which is mid-size, $10 million a year over. They have probably been in business 3 to 5 years, where what tends to happen is when businesses are hitting that $10 million a year mark, and they're about 3 to 5 years, they're starting to, it's hard for them to grow any further because they don't have the systems and processes in place, basically. So that's kind of our ideal target right there. So we can get a list from like list brokers of that type of profile, but we have to send a lot of direct mail. We've created really nice white papers, informative white papers, but it's kind of this education process because they don't know, a lot of times these businesses don't know that they're kind of paralyzed. We have to educate them that yeah, you are paralyzed and you
Right.
need to fix it. Hmm.
They got a problem. They just don't necessarily know what that problem is.
Exactly.
So, in terms of the direct mail, I mean, that's apparently working for you. Are you interested in reducing the cost of generating these leads? Are you interested in perhaps making that direct mail work better? In other words, generating better leads out of that direct mail? Or is the direct mail just working just fine the way it is?
I mean, it is working. It's having about a 2% conversion rate, which I guess that's the industry average. I was thinking it would be a little bit better, for such a targeted market, but what I mean, obviously, if I could spend the same amount of money on direct mail and generate more sales out of it, that would be an ideal situation.
So really, you're okay with spending the money on the direct mail. You would just like for it to convert better.
Yes.
Well, tell me what happens. So you send out the direct mail. What happens next in the sales process? So
So
folks, I'm trying to figure out where to put video marketing. Okay, is this what this is all about?
hmm yeah. So what'll happen is once the mail comes out, and it's not that we do like hundreds of thousands. We don't do, just it's massive quantities. It's the direct mail pieces are a little bit heavier because we've got the white paper and all that stuff. So we'll send out about 2,000 pieces per month. And then what happens is we try to follow up with them via phone. So basically 2,000 phone calls per month,
Okay.
which is 1,000. What is that? 1,000 every day. 500 phone calls. Basically 100 phone calls a day. Hey, did you
Right.
get the direct mail piece? Try to get into the gatekeeper and stuff like that.
Now, how's that working? And the follow-up, what is that a sticking point for you?
It is because it's not completely seamless. So someone, inevitably, someone or some people, in more quantities than one will inevitably fall through the cracks. And by the time we get around to them, it's like they kind of have forgotten us,
Right.
that type of thing.
Yeah, I can easily see that. Now, folks on the webinar, watch this next brilliant question. Gloria, what do you think would solve that problem?
Well, I think a better follow-up system would, and
Hang on, Gloria.
something.
So let me make sure that I'm translating this for everybody on the webinar. Guys, I just asked her to tell me how to close her. Okay? That's really what I just asked her. We're back in character now. So you said a better follow-up system?
Yeah, I think a better follow-up system.
What kind of follow-up system do you currently have? Describe that to me.
It's an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. And basically, I'm guessing the salesperson calls and then decides they need to call them back in a couple of weeks, and so there's
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll make a note, or we have a couple columns, like 3 columns or something like that. Contact once, contact twice. Try to get more information, and then if they can book an appointment, then what they'll do is they'll go ahead and book that time in the Outlook calendar.
Now, Gloria, is there between the time the prospect gets the direct mail piece, the salesperson calls them, see if they got the direct mail piece, and having been in sales most of my life, that's a massive amount of follow-up.
It is a lot of follow-up.
And they're following up with a lot of people that are never going to go anywhere, right?
That's true.
And they can't tell the ones that are going to, right now, they can't tell the ones that are going to go somewhere from the ones that won't go anywhere.
That's true.
Do you have any other stuff to send these leads in the meantime so that they hear from you in multiple ways?
No, other than just the phone call, with our salespeople just basically, dialing for dollars, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's obviously working for you, but we're talking about tweaking it so that it works better. Do you think having other stuff to send them might help?
Yeah, it probably would, and I just haven't had the time since I'm the only engineer that's doing this. So I just don't have the time to write it, and the stuff that I just don't want to outsource it because the quality, I'd probably end up having to rewrite it anyway.
Sure,
So.
I understand entirely. Why does it have to be written?
I don't know. I just, was kind of thinking white paper.
Well, yeah, I mean, white paper for B2B selling, like what you do, is an extremely important sales tool. Gloria, you know a little bit about what I do, right? Okay, so guys, I'm going for the close, okay? So you know a little bit about what I do, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I've seen your profile. We kind of talked and stuff like that. Yeah, you do video marketing, but I mean, I just don't see what that has to do with, with me.
Sure, I understand entirely because it's new. There are various ways of doing video marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So specifically, what we do, which might help you, is create high production value videos about stuff like you do, high production value videos that you can use in your marketing process. In other words, you don't have to hire somebody to create the white paper. It doesn't have to be another written thing. This is another way for you to get in touch with the prospect. Specifically, not everybody reads. You send somebody something, it sits on their desk, the secretary doesn't give it to them, they wonder what it is, etc., etc. Videos are much more approachable to a lot of people. They're faster to look at, and you can convey a lot more information per unit time than you can with white paper. The white paper establishes you as a serious company, but video could be another way of touching that person, another way of reaching out to them, because you need some more stuff besides just dialing the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point they're going to say, oh, it's XYZ engineering company calling again. Well, you know what to do with them. Just don't answer. You know, I mean, it's, you know, but if you're approaching them in various ways, then you have a greater, you know, it's like the old thing about how you have to see an advertisement 7 times before it really sinks in. It's that idea.
Right. Okay.
Now, would you mind if I sent you, we also have a white paper, and it links out to some videos that we've done that are examples. And we have worked with engineering companies like yours, and we worked with other companies where they're selling something that's very detail-oriented and takes a lot of high-level explaining. Would you mind if I sent that to you and you can look at some of those videos so that you'll really, I think it'll help you understand how video marketing could help you in what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll take a look at them for sure. I'm kind of intrigued, to be truthful.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'll get my secretary to send that out to you first thing tomorrow. By the way, today is Tuesday. If I send that to you, just so I'm managing my time and your time, and helping you, not overloading you more than you're already overloaded, right?
Mm-hmm.
When would be a good time for you and me to talk on the phone? Because I know you're going to have some questions to talk on the phone about this.
So if you send them tomorrow, I'll about 2 days. I'll take a look at them.
So
This
Wednesday,
week.
Thursday. So if
Yeah.
I call you Friday morning, would that work?
Yeah, plenty of time.
Awesome. So I'm going to make a note in my calendar, call you Friday morning. We're going to get this out to you. It's a white paper. It's really a PDF, but you look at it on your computer. There are links. Click those links. Look at those videos. I think once you do that, you're going to really see how this all fits into what you're doing and how we could potentially help you out.
Fair enough.
Okay, so on that, guys, I mean, considering that my goal would be to sell her a $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 video, right, or more.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as I would go with that, because she has a lot of important questions. She's also got misconceptions about video marketing. See, now I've got to educate and explain too, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's got misconceptions. She's got there's when I say video marketing, she's probably in her head maybe thinking about some 20-year-old chewing gum talking about their eyelashes on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she doesn't understand what we're doing here. So that's where you need to go with a lot of these sales, is you need to have something to send them where it's like standing on second base in baseball, right? You need to have something to send them, and make sure that you make the appointment. You don't send it out unless you get the appointment, okay? So make sure that you make the appointment for the follow-up, that she's really serious, that she's not just saying yes because she's so passive-aggressive she can't say no. Of course, by the time we got this far in the conversation, that's probably not true anyway.
Right.
So that would be the way to do that. So, Glory, let's just do this a little more. So
You call back, right?
Info. You got the info. I call back.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have that call real fast.
Okay.
Ring, ring, ring.
Gloria's Engineering.
Hey, Glory, Lee Cole, how are you?
Oh, hi, Lee.
You got that information we sent you, I hope?
I did. Yes,
Awesome.
I did.
Did you have a chance to look at it?
I did. Yeah, I looked at it. I looked at the links, all the videos and stuff for
So
sure.
you actually saw the video, and there was the civil engineering company that we had worked for. Did you see that video?
I did. I saw that. That was very interesting. A little bit eye-opening for me, to be truthful.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. Why was it eye-opening? Notice, folks, I'm asking questions again and shutting up.
Yeah, well, I just, I thought that videos, number one, were so cost prohibitive, but number two, either so cost prohibitive to get a really good quality video, or that the quality was so poor, that you see kind of these chinksy little cartoon videos or whatever, and it just wasn't applicable to what it is I do.
Right, because, you told me your average sale was $50,000. So a
Exactly.
silly little, we call those whiteboard videos, a silly little whiteboard video just isn't going to cut it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so on our information we sent you, it gave you approximate, costs of those videos and things like that. Now, last time we had talked about other marketing materials you can send out to help in the process. So,
Hmm.
so now that you've seen this, and now that you understand what I'm talking about with video, do you think that's something that might work out for your company?
Well, I mean, I like the idea, but I mean, so what would I do? Just like burn it on a CD or something like that, and then mail it? Or I mean, how would it get in front of their eyes? I don't understand that.
Right. There's a couple of different ways to do it. The CD thing is problematic because now they have to open it up. They got to stick it in the computer. They got to look at it, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot easier to just put the video up on the website, just like I did. See, in other words, what we do is exactly what I sent you. Okay, so you're basically going to have a PDF document, just like the one I sent you. It's
Hmm.
going to explain what they're looking at and why they're looking at it. It's going to link out to different examples. Now with you, what we would do is create that, and we have writers who work with us to create that and all that stuff. And of course, you're the expert, not us, but you would have to provide the specific information. But essentially, where I was explaining to you in the document how video marketing works for companies like yours, you would be explaining to your potential prospect how your systems analysis can do things like save them money, you know, it's,
Hmm.
can essentially meet their needs.
Right, right. Okay. All right.
Now, that really sounds like you're kind of interested in this. Am I correct?
I mean, yeah, yeah. It sounds. Yeah. I mean, I've never really thought about it. I mean, it's a lot of information to process, but yeah, it sounds like it could potentially, you know, help.
Okay. Well, really, the next thing to do, if you're interested, now notice, guys, I'm giving her control, okay? Because I keep control that way. The next thing to do, if you're interested, would be for us to send you a proposal. And a proposal is basically going to outline the whole process of working with us, how much it's going to cost, how long it takes to deliver, when we get paid, how we get paid, all of that stuff. It's all in there. Does that sound like
Okay.
something uh, that might help you understand whether this is something that's going to work for you or not?
Yeah, yeah. I mean that, that would definitely help out. That way, I kind of see it in black and white.
Did you have any specific budget in mind? Because I can work. We don't do cheap videos, okay, but you don't want
Uh-huh.
cheap videos either. So
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
you and I are on the same page here. But within a certain spectrum, I can, save money or spend money either way. Did you have a
Sure.
specific budget in mind?
Yeah, I don't, I'm thinking because I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, quite frankly, and I don't want to just spend our entire marketing budget on it. Um, so I mean, I could allocate a little bit of resources to it, probably like a couple thousand.
Hmm.
I don't know if that,
That's enough to get going. So I think what you're telling me is you want to test to see if it works first.
yeah, exactly.
This makes total sense. I do the same thing. So we're going to send you a proposal, $2,000. We're going to tell you what we can do for you for $2,000. And now we're not just giving you a video without helping you understand how to mesh that into your sales process. Because we're fundamentally a marketing company.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to also tell you how to make that work within your sales process. So people in the webinar, basically what I'm doing is setting myself up for a much, much larger sale in the future. Because she's going to like the video. It's going to amaze her for $2,000. It's actually going to work. And at that point, when I talk to her about other ways that we can help her marketing, she has a major marketing problem. She has a major lead follow-up problem specifically. She has a major problem with identifying which leads are going to live and which ones are going to die. Okay, and I can do all of that. So I'm setting myself up for that in the future. So Gloria, let's do this. We're going to send that to you. It takes about a day to get that in the mail to you. Excuse me, a day to email that to you because it's specific for your company. And once you get that, so just bottom line, folks, I would set myself up for another appointment, and that would be the closing appointment. So see, I'm not shooting at the wrong target. I'm not sending her a proposal for $10,000 because I was too scared to ask her how much money she wanted to spend. See, I went ahead every step of the way. I have asked her to tell me how to close her. What's your problem? I got a problem. I'm working too hard. Well, tell me about that. I got a problem. I don't particularly like doing the marketing. How does your marketing work? Well, we got these salespeople. How do you get your leads? Okay, well, what happens when you get the leads? Well, that's where we got a problem. Okay, cool. So what do you think would help? I mean, there was a time when I asked, I've always asked people, well, how would you solve that? What do you think would help that problem? See, I mean, if we can't have a meeting of the minds here, we're not going to have a sale anyway. So she tells me, well, actually, I'm not really sure. She's putting me in the position of not a salesperson, but a trusted advisor. I'm not really sure what would help. Well, one thing that we do is create really high-quality sales videos. Well, I'm not really sure that would work. Well, that's fair. Let me send you some information, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now she's interested. What's your budget? Well, I don't really want to spend more than $2,000 in case it doesn't work. Totally fair. It's a rational decision. Well, let's do this. Let's try it at $2,000. I can make something appropriate to your company and what you're doing that will have a big impact for $2,000. So I send her that. See, is she going to balk at $2,000? No, she's not going to balk at $2,000. She told me $2,000. See, I made her tell me every step of the way how to close her. And you can't do that if you're talking. You can only do that if you're asking questions.
That's why this process, you have a much higher close ratio because you are asking every step of the way how to close me.
Walked into the lot with the Porsche. I didn't act like an idiot and show you the engine.
Right.
Because you could care less about the engine. You want to show off.
Exactly.
I figured that out, and I'm talking to you about how this Porsche with this whatever and that whatever is the only one on the East Coast. There's not another one. There were two that got sent to California. One's owned by a venture capitalist, one's owned by another guy. There's one owned by a real estate guy in New York. This is the only one down here. See, I'm packaging up and to be what you want it to be, ethically, to be what you want it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's the bottom line, is that you're packaging the solution to meet my needs.
Right, but see, that would never work if I don't know what your needs are.
That's right. That's
and I'll
exactly
never know
right.
what your needs are if I don't shut up talking about myself and start asking you questions.
So, Lee, we're running a little bit long, but let's just wrap this up.
But we're having so much fun.
I know. I'm thinking I don't want these guys to start dropping like flies here. So how would you close her?
I would just assume the close. I mean, look, she told me $2,000. Okay, so let's say I send it to you. I mean, it's going to look really sweet for $2,000. It's going to look like a lot more than $2,000. So call you back. Ring, ring, ring.
Gloria's Engineering.
Hey, Gloria, Lee Cole, how are you?
Oh, hey, Lee.
So what did you think about that proposal that we sent you? Hey, guys, in the parlance, that's a test closing question.
Yeah, I mean, it looked interesting. I have a couple of questions.
That's perfectly fair. What are your questions?
Well, in terms of like, are you guys gonna you guys are gonna actually you have video, I guess, videographers, right?
Yeah, we work with different teams in various regions that we work in, so we have a team in your area.
Okay, and they're just gonna come in and like write the script and shoot and do all that type of stuff and.
Well, basically, we have an in-house writer who does nothing but sits down and writes these scripts. So we write all that here. The actual shooting is going to occur over about a day time, so it's not going to take a lot of time. This is not going to be too much of an interruption for you. But we basically, as I outlined in the proposal, we write the script, we show you the script, you okay the script, we move forward, we send the team out there, they shoot, we move forward. We do have some stock footage that we use for various things, so not all of it has to be shot on location. And we get the final edited version, send that to you, you okay it. And then we also, like I said, we're mainly a marketing company, so we also include talking to you and helping you integrate this into your sales process.
Okay. Okay.
You said two questions. That was one question.
Yeah. How long does all of this take? I mean, I know you said one day, but like, and this is I'm basically, you have a right to assume the sale. If I'm asking these buyers questions, then it's pretty much in the bag,
yeah, absolutely,
right?
absolutely. You're looking at from the moment you say, Lee, this sounds cool, let's do it. We talked to you about how much we get paid up front, when we get paid the balance, right? You understood all that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So from the moment that upfront payment hits the bank, from that moment until we're completely done, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Sounds good. So at this point, guys, when she said okay, she said okay. Okay. So I would give her instructions on how to pay me.
So you're not even going to ask, like, so do you want to move forward with this? Because I already said
No,
okay.
you just said okay.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
So because people can talk them.
Hey guys.
People can talk themselves out of a sale.
No. I was going to say that. My dad sold aluminum siding. Okay. I mean, he said, Lee, when the door is shut, don't open it. That's like the greatest sales advice ever. When the door is shut, don't open it. See, that's what amateurs do. They start talking about all this junk.
Right. Right. And I think at this point, the way that you actually handled the sales process, it would make me look like an idiot if I said, well, I'll have to think about it, because all my questions, what's basically what happened through the sales process is there's nothing left to think about.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think that's the goal, is that, when you get objections and stuff like that, is you've left room for them to think about stuff. Right?
Yeah, and look, I mean, you're dealing with a human being, okay? So they're going to screw it up. They're going to try to get control of the process. They're going to be weird. It's just life in the big city. That's why you need to be doing a lot of this and not be addicted to the outcome of one sale.
So how would that go if I said, let's back up a little bit and let me throw an objection in there?
Okay.
Okay, so we're almost towards the end, and ask like a closing, kind of like a closing question, or test the waters.
So usually, I would say something like, well, Sounds good, Gloria. You ready to get going with us now?
Well, I'm a little bit nervous about this, and I just like, I don't know if it's going to work. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I don't blame you for being nervous at all. I mean, we're talking about $2,000, which is, it's a chunk of money. What are you planning on doing about that?
Well,
Hey
I
guys, listen,
kind of,
positioning, I don't need her money.
hmm
Okay. Now look, if I'm the doctor. If she don't want to have the operation and take her gallbladder out, that's fine. She can just crawl into a hole and be in pain.
hmm
I'm just going to go home and, enjoy being a doctor. So a lot of times I will ask people, what do you plan on doing about that?
um,
And
I
shut
don't
up.
know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess, I like to mow things over and think about it and stuff, make sure it's the right decision.
Mhm.
hmm
Well, that sounds good to me. Specifically, what do you want to think about?
You know, I mean, it's it's not a sure thing.
No, it's not. So does it have to be a sure thing before you do it?
Well, I'd like it to be, I'd like to make sure the marketing money's being spent wisely, of course. I mean, I'm not in the business of throwing money just down the toilet.
I understand entirely. Glory, wasn't that the reason that we were going for $2,000 for a smaller amount? I mean, that's what you told me, right?
Yeah,
That was the test amount.
yeah, yeah.
Now, see here, guys, I mean, when you get really good at sales, don't worry about this too much, but when you get really good at sales, you can get a little, sometimes you have to slap people around a little bit. Okay. So, Gloria, I mean, is that a test amount of money or not? Because, see,
Um,
my voice is getting to where, Gloria, you're wasting my time.
right, right. And because you've got the posturing and the positioning
And
that you've
because,
done,
really, I've got another phone call in about 15 minutes.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, it is the test amount.
Okay. So if it's the test amount, I, I'm a little confused here. So if that's the test amount, but you're saying, Lee, I don't, you see my logical confusion here?
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
mean,
you're saying I don't want to test with the test amount. What's that about?
well, I just want to make sure that it works.
How are you going to figure that out unless you test it?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's a point well taken.
Gloria, did you see that? There's a case study that I included in the last thing I sent you. Did you read that?
I did, yes, of course.
They were very much in the same boat you're in. I mean, $2,000 is, you just don't go blowing that for no reason. I understand that, but they were very much in the same boat that you were in. And did you
hmm
notice how in that case study we had a test, right?
Yeah.
And the test worked out pretty good. We tweaked it some, we made it better,
hmm
but the test worked out pretty good.
It did.
Yeah,
hmm
that's the. Did y'all hear how she said it did? She just gave up. But
That's true. Yeah.
so she said it did. Okay. So Gloria, you're okay with testing with $2,000, right?
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that's
Cool.
fine.
Well, let me tell you what you need to do next, and then I just tell her where to send the money. But see, now there's so many important things going on here. I don't need her money. Even if you really do, you don't. Because if you need it, it ain't gonna work. Okay?
Yeah, that's where you come in compromising and,
Yes.
well, I'll do it for $500 or I'll do it for $200 or
No,
something
because
like that. And,
then she just thinks, well, yeah, I'll let you do it for $200, but you're really a jerk. Okay? Because it was $2,000.
hmm
And it's not going to do anything anyway. The whole thing's poisoned from there, so it's just best to walk away. And you're not going to close all of them. The fact of the matter is you will close plenty of deals if you are talking to a lot of people and going down this path a bunch. I've got
Right.
a really good friend who's retired from corporate marketing. He's got a wonderful saying. He says, Lee, volume will solve all of your problems.
That's right. I've heard that more than once, and that's so true.
Yeah,
It's like you've got a problem, get more, get more sales. That's right.
right.
Get more leads and
And
get more
again, we had a
sales.
person in the Facebook group who was kind of like, well, they said this and they don't have the money, and getting all like micromanaging that deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the solution is talk to more people.
Right.
Because if you talk to enough people, so if you play the numbers game some, not like an idiot and vomiting, but if you talk to enough people, then you will ratchet up the numbers enough so that I know in my heart that Lee makes a sale every day, every 2 days, every week, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be her. On average, if I make a sale every week or whatever it is, it doesn't have to be her. I got plenty of stuff coming down the funnel. It may not
Right.
be her. I mean, she's spent a lot of my time. If she can't fish or cut bait, maybe we don't need to be doing business.
Right. Right.
See what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yep. Guys, do you have any questions? Well, hopefully this was helpful for you. We kind of went in depth in the whole
We did.
sales
We
process.
did. It's so
I think
much
it was.
fun.
It is fun, but I think it's necessary to kind of see the whole thing from start to finish and how that translates to. Okay, LinkedIn is just another a way to get leads, But really, once you get them to a certain point, you're going to nurture them the same way. Any questions?
And guys, the deal here, the big takeaway is ask questions and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I could get y'all just to do that one thing, this would have been a major success.
Yep. Yep. So any questions about the sales process? We've got kind of a quiet audience here, so.
Well, I think we've killed them with 2 hours of information.
Yeah, yeah. All right, guys, has
Awesome.
this been helpful for you? Hopefully it has.
Good stuff. Good
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Hope that you enjoyed this. Michael says it has. Excellent. Have several other people saying yes.
Great. Yep.
We've obviously
Definitely.
enjoyed
Bunches.
this. I could sit around and, I'm like a salesman. I could sit around and do this like all the time. But
And no matter what situation you throw at you, because of your questioning ability and the nuances and you understand the sales process, you can pretty much work around it. So, yeah. So this is going to be in the members area, right?
yeah, it takes about 24 hours to.
Mhm.
Lau wants to know if we'll take this notepad. Yeah, I'll save this and pop it in where you can download it. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's just finish this off. Ask for the sale. And I usually say, and it has to come out of your mouth the way you talk, okay? Hang on a minute. That would be something like I would say. Okay, you all have to put this in how you talk. But are you ready to get going?
Mhm.
It sound like something that would work for your business. And it's okay if they say no. That's fine. Because you have a lot of people to talk to.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Lyle, yeah, we'll save this and pop this in there also. And it takes about 24 hours because I have to reformat it and do a bunch of stuff to it. So
Mhm.
it just takes a while. But yeah, so not 24 hours from now. Let's say lunchtime, something on that order. Don't hold me to it.
Mhm. Sometime tomorrow, more than
Sometime.
likely.
There you go.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yep. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate
Thank you
your
so much.
time spending it with us, and hope it was a great learning experience for you.
See y'all later.
Keep rocking. All right, talk to you later.